Hi guys, welcome back to another very quick episode of Classic Arcade Repairs. This is a funny thing here. This is a Sprint 2 board that I got in for a repair probably a year ago or so. And I sent it back as unrepaired because I could not figure it out. And that's rare. That does not happen often. It hardly ever happens, to be honest. But this was one of the cases where I just could not get this thing to work. Now keep in mind this is Sprint 2. And I was actually admiring all of the work that I did on this board. I remember I replaced the caps. I socketed these amps. I don't remember exactly what the deal is with these what was with the amps, but I had to socket the amps. I replaced all these caps. I lifted and socketed all of these RAM. I changed this socket. I think I changed this bipolar ROM, some sockets here. I replaced this. I replaced the regulator. Yeah, I was just looking at I replaced this. And I was looking back here at this. Just the work was super clean. This is a really nice board. I did a good job. But I sent it back unrepaired because I couldn't figure it out. It wasn't until later I did another Sprint 2 board that I found out how this thing works. You have to have, and I since had wired in. This is my harness. When I first did this was my first Sprint 2. I did not have these switches wired in. And these switches have to be here. And I wrote notes. Like I got a note here. The inputs do not ground. The inputs go to 5 volts instead of ground to activate. This is an ass backwards system. But anyway, this thing will not run. If your coin switches are not wired, it will not work. So if you have a Sprint game or an old Atari game, for that matter, that doesn't work, looks like it's CPU locked up, make sure your cabinet wiring is right, because a break in the cabinet wiring to your coin door will prevent the thing from working. I just got this board out of the box because after I fixed that Sprint 2 board, the second one, and I found all of this out, I contacted the owner of this board and said, send that back to me so that I can finish this, because now I know I did not know this stuff before. Now that I did, I had him send it back, and here it is. I just put it on the bench. I plugged it in, and let's turn it on. I had it fixed the whole time and didn't know it. This thing looks absolutely perfect. I got to test out the trackball operations and that kind of stuff. And this is a coin switch. Okay. I'm not hearing any sound. Got all these switches here. I don't know. Let me mess around with this stuff and try to get some game going on here. All right. Well, I got the scope out. Don't need it. This thing's working just fine, and I'll show you. You can't have the gear shifter just floating. I'm tying first gear, player 1 first. I've got all the gears out here. So here's player 1, gear 1, And I got that tied to 5 volts because remember, on this one, it's counterintuitive. Most games, you ground the input for it to activate. This, you put it to 5 volts for it to activate. So I tied gear 1, so we are in first gear. You cannot have it floating. It won't do anything. So now I will coin up. And we're here now. And one of these, I got track select. We can ground this out to select, or ground it. 5 volts it to select some tracks. That's a nice easy track. I guess we'll just go with this. And player 1 start right here. All right, and player 1 gas. Here we go. So I don't know if you could hear, but it does. Here's the trackball. Let's reset. This time I'll do a 2-player game. I've got both 1-player and 2-player hooked to the trackball. So when you move this, it moves both 1 and 2. It's just for testing. You're not going to be able to play with 1 trackball. But we can... 2 coins. I got start 2 on here somewhere. There's start 1. Here's start 2 right here. So I will ground it. Put it to 5 volts, I mean. And now I'll use the trackball and both black and white will move. See that? So that's both of the steering inputs. Sounds all work. This thing works good. No problem. Good sound. Everything's good. Excellent. So, I didn't have to do anything to this. Just test it. This time. When I fixed this the first time, it was fixed 100%. How about that, guys? I got that jumped over there, and that don't need to be there. I thought I had a problem with the sound. I thought I had a problem with sound until I realized you can't leave the gear shifter floating. You have to tie a gear to 5 volts so that the sound will ramp up as you gas the car up. So that's it. I will well, this is great. This makes me happy knowing that I did fix this the first time. I fixed it and it worked perfect. So that's it. See you guys on the next one. This is a nice, easy, just a verifying that I did fix this right the first time, but I just did not have the proper setup. And it's still confusing. But now I know even more notes for myself with this board. The gear shifter cannot be floating or the sound will not ramp up. The frequency of the engine will not ramp up if you don't have a gear shifter connected. If you hit the gas, the car will move. It will move, but the engine will not rev up at all unless you have a gear shifter, the gear tied to 5 volts. So, excellent. That's it. We'll see you guys on the next one. And this is just a little short video showing that, yeah, this one I repaired about a year ago. I sent it back unrepaired because I could not get it to work, and turns out I just didn't have my harness complete, and this thing was fixed 100%. See you next time.